And there we go. Greetings, friends of the apocalypse. This is Jared the Apocalypse Nerd Wallace and Adam Bomb Glancy coming to you from, see, I'm getting it right now,
I'm
podcast.
not. I'm beginning to think this was a terrible idea. But all
Well,
right, at least you're getting it right.
I'm getting it right at least, okay? You got to give me that. Podcast Air Ground Zero, episode 25, a discussion of a boy and his dog. So we're back after about a month. Had a lot going on in the month of May. As we know,
There, there,
somebody was getting married.
there was the nuptial apocalypse.
So yeah, it's the end of my life as we know it. So let's see, but so
Or
yeah,
perhaps the beginning.
the beginning. We could rebuild. So, and I dragged Scott's ass down to Florida, to come to that. So, and then I was on a honeymoon for a week. So, a lot of shit going on. So, a brief hiatus, but we're back, and again, we're going to talk about A Boy and His Dog this week. The different iterations. The original novella, the movie adaptation. We have some graphic novel of it. So, we have a lot of different things to talk about. With this book from Harlan Ellison. And unfortunately, we don't have, well, we'll get into that. But for in the news, I got a couple things to bring up, and then Scott's got some reviews and some stuff to share with you as well. Just a couple of reminders. Remember that this month, actually this week, in the U.S., supposedly, the Rover, which we've talked about before and Scott brought to our attention, will be opening, it says June 13th, 2014.
Yeah, so I suppose that's going to be select theaters.
Yeah, I assume it's going to be selected first to see how it does, and then maybe I'll get around. Or I got a couple of, believe it or not, I actually do have a couple art house type theaters where they actually do get that stuff down here. So maybe I'll get to see it, hopefully.
Okay.
So that's coming out. Snowpiercer, which we've talked about, the train snow apocalypse,
Yeah,
opens.
it looks from what little I see of the previews, though, it does look kind of, I don't know, maniacally over the top, ludicrous.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we're okay with that.
Yeah. Just letting you know what you're going to get into. It does look over the top.
Oh yeah, it looks like dystopian. It's like dystopia on a train in an apocalyptic world.
Well, the weird woman who's part of the sort of representing our one percenters looks like the creepy folks from the government in the Hunger Games with the insane clothing and bizarre makeup and and weird jewelry. Yeah,
I
they
think
look like aliens.
I think that's Tilda Swinton. I think is that who's playing that
It
character.
might be if you. She's clearly from Mars, so it doesn't take much.
Oh yeah, that doesn't take much makeup in the costumes, but yeah, so that's opening up, and then we have. I don't know. I don't know what to. I don't know how to. I don't know how to. Well, we'll see when it comes out. We have starting, I believe, premiering June 22nd on TNT. Michael Bay presents The Last Ship is starting this month as well.
It looks like they've completely abandoned the nuclear war aspect.
Yes, that's
Completely abandoned it.
Yeah, like I saw like these promo things up at the movie theater this weekend to like, don't breathe, The Last Ship. I'm like, don't breathe. Did they go some kind of viral biological thing? I'm not sure.
I think that's where they're going with it.
Yeah, so I'm sure it's going to be awful, but it's based upon a post-apocalyptic novel, so we have to at least check it out and give it a try because there's many of those things I've tried, like Revolution and Falling Skies, which I've just not been able to keep up with because it did not keep my interest.
That's okay. Revolution got themselves canceled.
Very good.
Although apparently Falling Skies hasn't. I think they're coming
but
back.
I've been hearing, but you know what? I'm gonna have to circle back because it's on Amazon Prime and I could catch up. Apparently, it's been getting good reception. Like apparently it's getting better or something. So I'm gonna have to go check it out.
Okay.
So we have the
I
last.
should point out that I just went to IMDb to look to look up a couple of films I wanted to tell you about, and boom, The Rover is right on the front page of IMDb with a featurette you can watch about the movie.
Oh, nice. A couple other things I could review. I've read was I mentioned the Last Zombie Kickstarter a while back, which had uh, Joe. Oh, I just drew a blank on his name. Our buddy, Twilight X, Joe.
Oh, Joe Wright. Joe
Joe
Wright.
Wright. Thank you. I couldn't remember his name. Joe Wright did the art on that. They did the Kickstarter to do the uh, omnibus of it, and I backed it just for the PDF version. You know, it's like a 600-page frickin' omnibus I got for $10 on PDF. So,
That's not bad.
oh no, that was.
Is it closed? Is it closed now?
Oh yeah, it closed. Yeah, they might make it available. You know, but I read when I was on the cruise because I was on a cruise for a week for the honeymoon. I've read the first like it came in like segments of six. I think there's like six series. I read the first one, but now I caught up and read the whole thing. I liked it because it's about zombies, but you know it's about 2 years later that all the zombies are gone. You know,
Hmm.
and people are starting to rebuild. And you know, there's two like FEMA type bases across the country, and they lose contact, so they go on a mission to get there. And it's about supposedly there is one last zombie, and I won't reveal too much, but it's about there's a lot of things like there's no continuity of government anymore, and people like the Mexican cartels are trying. It was pretty well written and pretty well thought of, like what's going to happen. If you get a chance to ever get people to pick it up, The Last Zombie, I could recommend it. I think it was pretty good because it's not just like, oh, it's another zombie novel. That was the background, but it's all about afterwards. And it's interesting how they make it to where 2 years later, they're all gone. They've all decayed, they're all gone. Which I've never seen anybody do. Everybody always kind of perpetuates it,
Yeah.
on and on and on and on and on. But they did a find out, okay, it's 2 years, they're gone, they've all rotted, they've all fallen apart. Okay, now we got to rebuild in the apocalypse. So it's really more apocalyptic in the sense of just the downfall, as opposed to we're still fighting zombies years later.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. That's
So it's really good. And remember a while back I talked about how Big Finish Productions, who does a lot of Doctor Who, Blake Seven audio dramas,
Hmm.
was coming out with Survivors.
Oh.
Survivor Series 1 is now available through Big Finish Productions, and it's either done as a download or for $20. It's 4 hours. It's like four parts. It's 4 hours of material, so it's not bad for $20. Or you can get the physical CDs, whatever your preference is. So I downloaded that, and I've gotten through part 1, and I'm into part 2 already. I'm liking it. I've never heard any of their radio dramas before, but they're doing a really good job. It's the same universe, but they've kind of written it from different angles, different approaches. It's not the same characters. Like in the TV show, they did this whole, or the or the rural environment. This one, they're taking different things like, well, what happens in the cities and the airports, and a little bit more of a global view. So they're approaching the story differently. So it's not like, oh, I already watched the series, I don't need to listen to this. It's still interesting and fresh because they've taken a different approach to the telling of the story.
Okay. Cool.
So I could totally recommend that. So that came out, and what else? That's it. I mean, I had a little of a backup from we haven't done it in a few weeks, but yeah, like I said, guys, Big Finish. If you like we've recommended the Survivors TV series. The audio is great because now I actually loaded it. I never load anything on my iPhone, but I loaded these on my iPhone because every time I have a habit now because we got a new car, so we got a Kia Soul and it's got Bluetooth. So I just
Yeah.
I turn the Bluetooth on and I just play it through the car. While I'm driving, so I listen to it. So it's pretty cool.
All right. Very good.
So that's all my junk. I know Scott's got he's watched some stuff, got some book reviews, some reviews for us too.
Okay. The thing I just watched and just put down 10 minutes ago was the post-apocalyptic film from England called How I Live Now. And it was based on a young adult, I believe, novel. It does have some of the weaknesses of that. At least as far as my experience of young adult goes. On
Like the Tripods was a young adult series too.
Yeah, yeah. But it's basically, girl sent to stay with her family in England, her mom's side of the family. There's a nuclear attack on London. there's some kind of war. But what's incredibly frustrating is this girl gets off the plane in London and has just got her headphones on, her sunglasses on, and she's just filled with hate because she's been sent away from everything that's cool, to have to be in England where everything sucks, and she's just so full of that fucking teenage, everything sucks, and I hate everything. She's walking through the London airport. There's fucking soldiers all over the place. She walks outside, their fucking Rapier anti-aircraft batteries set up at the airport, and she doesn't notice it because she's all into her own world. And you as the audience are like,
wow,
that's a problem, that's a problem. Why is everything tooled up? Man, it looks like the fucking Luftwaffe is going to be flying over in 5 minutes. There's aircraft in the air all the time. There's choppers moving around all the time. The streets are filled with military vehicles, and she's just all, I don't like being here. I hate London. I hate everything, And you're just like, just look up for a second, please look up for a second. But she doesn't, and when the shit goes down, she's a little lost to start with. She has no idea what's going on, and frankly, the characters in the film don't have any idea what's going on. They're in an isolated rural area. They get about 30 seconds of news coverage before the power goes out, and then they're on their own. And then the military shows up and clears them out because you're in a free fire area because there's enemy troops. Not explained. They're dragged off with the women are put to work farming, and the boys are dragged off from military conscription service at age 14 and 16, whatever their ages are. They're just separated. And one of the things that they don't mention, but you notice, like, we're watching it, my wife and I are watching it, we go, hey, there's no men on the farm. There's just women working on the farm. Where are all the guys? Well, of a certain age, they're dragged off to conscription. And it's when I say it suffers from a young adult thing, it focuses on the female protagonist and her world and her goals and what she's getting up to. And as much as you want to know about what else is going on in the world, you're not going to hear about that. The story's about her, not the apocalypse. Okay. And although there are some cool post-apocalyptic things, and it's a micro-apocalypse or it's a temporary apocalypse, because by the time the story's at an end, there's power coming back on. But it's obviously been 6 months. They've gone through a period of chaos. And they don't really explain a lot. But
so it was maybe like a limited exchange or something like that.
Well, they say a nuclear bomb went off in London. When she's in the airport, there's news stories on the TV sets. You can't hear it because she's got the music on in her headphones, but it says Paris bombing, and it's showing huge sections of Paris completely on fire. But she doesn't look up from all her important, how bad a time she's having. So it sort of smells like terrorism. It sort of smells like, a terrorism. The idea of an invading army into England in the 21st century doesn't seem very likely to me. Maybe if it was a combination of, they don't point any fingers, at what this could be. Whether it was Islamic terrorism or the Russians finally decide they think they're the USSR again. There's no real explanation about it.
Did it have that same young adult feel of like what's the Australian series? That's the
very much.
The one to be Red Dawn. The day after the war started.
Ever since the war started. I haven't seen Ever Since the War Started, but my understanding is that the enemy is just not defined. They're just gray figures in the distance. Even in the books, they don't go to define the enemy, although everyone lined up to criticize the author, saying that he was a racist because clearly the enemy is China. And
you get the feeling that it's definitely somewhere from the Pacific Rim, because I saw the movie, and I said it was kind of weak, but it's like I'm trying to think, well, if I had to compare, okay, well, the remake of Red Dawn or the day after the war started.
Yeah, both weak in the same ways.
Both weak, but I'm trying to think which one.
Hey, at least Josh Hartnett gets shot in the head in the remake of Red Dawn.
Yes, that's true.
With no warning. And speaking of which, one of the charming saving graces of this film is this very ruthless moment where we're being chased by a couple of scavengers, or, just derelicts or whatever these guys are. Our girls, our 17-year-old girl and this like little 18-year-old girl she's got with her running through the woods, she stashes the little redheaded girl in a place to hide, but then goes off to watch the hiding place. Like, I think she literally stashed her there so the bad guys would catch her, drag her out, and be all like, "Ah, we're threatening you with rape." And then she jumps out and gets the drop on them with a pistol.
Oh, nice.
But that's it. You know how nice it is, Jared? This is how nice it is. One of the guys starts to say some shit like, "Hey, we just meant a little fun," and before he can even put the period on that sentence, she shot a hole in his chest. Just boom! And the other guy's like, "Hey, you don't have to." Boom! Shoots him too. No, I do not have to. Boom! And just gut shoots him and leaves him.
Well, that's the kind of way it should be. I get so tired of this, like, well, if you don't go eat, no, just boom, 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 you're done. Because that's what's going to happen. Just do it. No dialogue, no hesitation, no philosophical debates on why I should not or not shoot you. I'm just shooting you.
They don't have their gun, right? They're nowhere near their guns, right? And one of them makes a move for his gun, and she says stop, and he stops, and then she shoots him anyways.
Nice. Well,
okay.
I like that.
This idea that you always see in movies where the hero has to give the bad guy the opportunity to go for his gun so he looks like it, you know what I mean? So it's like really in self-defense, especially with women characters. Women characters have to be provoked into killing in a situation where they intend to do you harm and they're just looking for their opportunity. Don't give them the opportunity. I love it when a film just goes, nope, I don't feel like giving you a chance, and then she shoots him, and I give that the big thumbs up. It has its weaknesses, but it was very beautifully shot. It's very interesting. You know what it reminded me of? It reminded me a lot of, remember that French film In the Time of the Wolf?
Time of the Wolf, yeah. We don't know what the downfall is, but everybody's just kind of wandering around, not knowing what's going on, what's going to happen next.
Do you remember that? And it's not like that English film with not Juliette Armand. It was an English film, Diary of a Survivor, or something like that, where it was set in London and everything's clearly winding down, and the subways are filled with violent gangs of children, and everyone's so there's garbage piling up in the streets, and by the time the story is over with, the very richest people are being evacuated out of the city, leaving in helicopters and things, leaving everyone else to stew in their own mess. Do you remember that at all? Is that ringing a bell with you?
It rings a bell. I think we might have talked about that a little bit before.
Well, let me go ahead and do two things. I'll just sit here and hit Dr. Zhivago, because the actress who was in Dr. Zhivago, maybe I should spell that with a full doctor as opposed to Dr. Zhivago, not Doctor with a DR. But the lead actress who was in Dr. Zhivago is Julia Christie. And Julia Christie was in this film. It was made in the 70s. And it was, let's see if I can find it, backing up to the 70s. All right, here we go. Memoirs of a Survivor. Yes, okay. That was the name of the film, Memoirs of a Survivor. And it's, this film reminded me a lot of that. There's not a lot of huge action sequences, but How I Live Now is sort of reminded me of those. It's in that range. It's like, ever since the war started, it's like Time of the Wolf. It's like Memoirs of a Survivor. It's no Mad Max. It's no Ultimate Warrior, but it's another addition to the genre. Other things I want to point out that are coming: Monsters 2: Dark Continent.
Oh,
remember Monsters?
Yeah. I thought I in passing saw something related to that. So thank you for bringing that up.
There are two trailers available on YouTube right now. One is just a trailer where some soldiers are coming up to the front, I guess it is, and they just got, you don't see what they see. They just got these expressions on their faces like, oh, fuck. But driving past them in the background are huge earth-moving dump trucks filled with the carcasses and the fragments of carcasses of the monsters.
Nice.
As they're being trucked away. The second is a full trailer, and it's monsters and soldiers, and they're trying to find a missing guy in the ruins of a city that the monsters have wiped out. It looks visually very interesting.
Yeah, it's like they
The last
expanded
one I'm
they,
going to throw
expand,
out
they,
is
expand, they expanded that universe. They made it bigger. It's not just
yeah,
it's not just the DMZ anymore. Like it's gotten bigger.
yeah, exactly. And the last one I want to point out is there's a plague apocalypse coming called Parts Per Billion with, let's see here, Josh Hartnett and Frank Langella in it. And it has a preview up on a trailer online on YouTube you can take a look at. And, Jared, it looks grimmo. It doesn't look like a story about how to survive. It looks like a story about how to be the last one to die. So it's Parts Per Billion looks grisly.
Oh, sorry, I was muted. Parts per billion, you said?
Parts Per Billion, yes.
Billion.
So take a look at that. It's by a first-time writer who's now a first-time director. So we'll see how it turns out, but it doesn't look like a huge budget.
Deadly World Virus, okay. It's on YouTube, you said, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I see it. I'm going to go ahead and...
throw that in the show notes?
I'm going to get that... Yeah, I've been posting stuff on the event page, and I'll bookmark it on the YouTube channel. Okay.
And the last thing I want to throw out is, from the world of Lovecraft, I met Sylvia Moreno Garcia. She's a Vancouver author who published some stuff in Book of Cthulhu, and is also an editor of all kinds of other genre fiction. And one of the things she's got coming out with a release date of August 2014 is Fractured, Tales of the Canadian Post-Apocalypse. It's a collection of post-apocalyptic stories set in Canada, written by Canadians. So there you go. We always want to see, stuff about how other cultures and other societies, other nations present their apocalypse stories. Well, there you go. We're going to have a fair chunk. There's
doesn't Rick just usually regale?
Admittedly, Rick Neal can usually tell us about the Canadian apocalypse. But honestly, Jared, when he's telling us about the Canadian apocalypse, what he's really describing is winter.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, this happened last week.
Yeah. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 22. There's like 22 stories here, including such titles as Dog for Dinner, Last Man Standing, and No Man is a Promontory.
Nice.
Okay. I will be picking up my copy because, again, it's always cool to read some other societies' vision of what it looks like when it all goes down.
Oh yeah, nice. That's cool. And it's from Canada, so it's different. They're already hardy and live the apocalypse. So
every year I had a chance to talk to an event. I had a chance to sit down and talk to this 70, almost 80-year-old woman who talked about living in northern Manitoba and Saskatchewan in the 20s, just describing the nightmare of what it was like growing up there. And she said, when her dad got a defense industry job during World War II, and everyone got on a train and went from Saskatchewan to Vancouver, and he went to work in the shipyards. As soon as she saw mountains, she's like, no, I am never going back to that flat, empty tundra ever again. I am never going back to the plains ever again. And then she saw Vancouver, a city, And she's like, okay, fuck the mountains too. I am never leaving the urban environment ever again. You know, her descriptions of the north of Canada, they won't notice the apocalypse. They won't. It'll all blow up, and the only thing they'll notice is, they can't get Coca-Cola in bottles anymore.
I hope something happened, eh?
Yeah. Yeah, we would keep joking with Sylvia that it's going to be the most polite apocalypse ever. So, okay, we're going to have to take all your stuff, leave you to starve, but, no feel hard feelings.
So, yes, I'm sure Clint and Neil will let us know how wrong we are in short notice.
Yeah, fighting over the last, the poutine, the precious poutine.
Well, I mean, isn't all of Canada just kind of like the the apocalyptic movie in Strange Brew?
Yes, exactly. Unless you hit it, mutant. State your business. Radiation has made me an enemy of civilization. It's going to be like that.
Exactly like that.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's all the news I got.
All right, cool. I posted a bunch of the stuff we talked about on the event page and some on the Google page, so some people could find it there. So anyway, let's move on to A Boy and His Dog. Now, A Boy and His Dog was originally a novella written by our friend. Well, I don't think he's anybody's friend.
I was about to say our friend and nobody's.
He's nobody's friend, Harlan Ellison. We know how much of a raging asshole he is, but you know what?
Sometimes the job calls for a raging asshole. That's.
But you know what? I'm cool with that. He's a lot of times he's right. Most of the time he's right on what he's talking about. He just goes about it in a very brusque way. So, but that's fine. No, I like Harlan Ellison. I think it's cool that he speaks his mind. Doesn't hold back. So.
Yeah. He's a real inspiration for timid wallflowers like you and me.
Oh yeah, no, we never we're afraid to say things, but so no, Harlan Ellison, he wrote as a novella and originally appeared in a magazine in 1960s. I'm trying to remember where it is, but it's probably gonna have
Asimov or Word,
It's like a Weird Tales. I got to, of course, I have to cheat and go to Wikipedia.
Go to Wikipedia. Yeah, because we don't do any research. Not until the show starts. Then we start looking the shit up.
New Worlds. That's what it was published in 1969. So it was just a short novella, and later on it became adapted as a movie by the director was L.Q. Jones did it. So, but and then later on he published some shorter novels, two additions to the story. There was a graphic novel adaptation to it later, but the novel originally started off. It's we'll start with the book, and I actually recently read the book finally, and I have to say because Harlan Ellison is such a hard ass about his property rights. I was not able to find a version to pirate as an ebook, okay? Because he's really good about that. So because of him, I made my first ebook purchase ever. So and read it on my Kindle. So I don't have a physical copy of it to show you guys, but that I think it was called Vic and Blood: Tales of Boy and His Dog. It had the original novella plus an additional 15, 20 pages, Mm-hmm. Now, there's much tales back and forth of why he wrote the extra pages. Apparently, he has a whole giant novel written from it, but it takes place after World War IV in the year 2024, okay? It's an alternate timeline. The Kennedy assassination failed. So because of that, the whole space race thing didn't happen. They didn't put their efforts into the space race. They started putting things into more weaponry, experimenting on dogs for warfare, and so that's how it went. And it was basically World War III took place over 25 or 30 years because it was conventional. And then so that ran until like the 80s, and then I think in 2006 or 7 there was World War IV, lasted 5 days, and that was nuclear, and it was very overwhelmingly devastating. Now during this time, through part of the experimentations, there was dogs. They experimented with dogs to be like work as weapons, and some became telepathic. But they lost their sense to be able to like hunt on their own. So the book picks up where Vic, who's the main character, is with Blood. So Vic and Blood. Blood's the dog who's hunting. Vic is a solo, from the roamer packs. They're like people running around, and apparently there's a shortage of women in the future.
Yeah, I wasn't quite sure how this came about. It's much like the shortage of Bibles we have in the Book of Eli. But all right, so the girls are in short supply.
Well, I think they said something they said that most of the women were in cities, and most of the cities were nuked, so that's why there's a shortage of women. And I'm like, okay, I'll buy it.
Moving along.
Yeah, moving along. So he's always looking, to find women and hunting for food. It's a pretty devastated landscape.
And our main character is kind of a shitheel. When we say looking for women, he's not going to bring them a box of chocolates and flowers. It's all rapey, rape as far as he's concerned. And perhaps, now that I think of it, wasn't there an instance where at the beginning, now certainly in the movie there's a part where they're trying to, the blood is sniffing and trying to track down a woman, but another group of rovers has not only found this girl, but raped her and killed her.
Yeah, they left her. She was still alive, but she was like a bloody mess,
Yeah, and she dies very soon afterwards, and very quickly.
He was mad because it was a waste.
Yeah, well, exactly. His character is kind of a shitbag, having grown up in this post-apocalyptic environment that, it doesn't make any sense why you'd kill her afterwards. Well, maybe that's why we're running out of women. Perhaps this is a future populated by guys who grew up on Elliot Rodgers' Manifesto,
Maybe.
Maybe. Anyways.
But the character's only 15 years old, too.
Yeah.
Just bear in mind that
he's not an adult. He's been raised. He's grown up in the rubble. He's an animal.
Yeah.
And Harlan Ellison has never really shied away from presenting unattractive characters. You know what I mean? Who are unattractive because the world they grew up in made them awful. And you have a certain amount of sympathy because he's never going to know better.
Exactly.
Never gonna know better.
And like I said, he felt like it was a waste, but he wouldn't. He's like, I can't do her in this state. He had I guess that glimmer of. It's like, well, I would have raped her if she was healthy, but when she's like that, I'm not going to do anything. So it's like, you're a stellar guy, Vic.
What a mensch! This is wow. That's your morals. They are as impressive.
Well, that's one of the things too. The character Blood is trying to instill in him because Blood is a very educated dog and knows a lot of stuff and is trying to teach him as he goes along. Yeah,
the dog is constantly trying to teach him his numbers, how to read and write. The dog is apparently Brian from Family Guy.
Yeah.
At least as far as his intelligence level, it's like Brian from Family Guy, except the communication is all telepathic.
Yeah, he's like he always has him go over the presidents, and there was this one line in the book. I don't have it with me. Shit, it was pretty. Talk about he's like saying how sometimes it was better if he didn't know how to read because then it's like it was something like since he knows how to read, it's like sometimes like sometimes I think it'd be better not to because then I wouldn't have all these questions, or something to that extent. But
ignorance is bliss.
Yeah. But but also so it's like the rover packs, trying to find food, find women, and there's also because there was such it's highly radioactive in certain areas. There's the things called the screamers.
Yes, which are kind of radioactive zombies.
Radioactive zombies, which they do encounter in the book and in the movie. Well, they're hinted at it in the book.
Well, they couldn't show it. They didn't have the special effects, so all you see is the green glow.
I don't think they had the special effects to even do anything in that movie, but but I think, and also I think the Screamers were, I think, in my interpretations, I think they're were the inspiration for the Screamers kind of in Legion of Gold, Gamma World GW1.
Oh yeah,
There
yeah.
was the section where you found these bunkers, and there's these radioactive, melted, screaming, going to kill you type things, which are basically kind of what the Screamers are. So I think there was a little bit of a crib there, to those characters.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So it's basically his whole thing is about getting laid and finding food. Is what it is. Then I forgot to say people. Oh, spoilers. I don't know. I don't know how deep we want to get. Well, I mean, the book was written in the '60s. The movie came out in '75. So,
And
um,
certainly when you're reading the book, I remember uh, feeling like there was some. At least when they talk about World War III, World War IV, when they go see the movie in the theater, the sort of the old bombed out theater that's been put back together,
yeah,
it's showing things. There's a very Vietnam vibe to their whole concept of war. Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's all napalm and Asian enemies, and I think they literally, the film in the theater is like the smell of chink or something, which is this war film about incinerating Chinese soldiers with flamethrowers or something, and it's all it's pretty ghastly.
That
But
and it's all sex films.
oh yeah,
They called it what do they call them films?
stag films.
No, they called it something else. Let me look here.
Well, Richard Corbin pretty much did his comic book shot for shot. So
Oh,
I'm
it
gonna
pretty much is. Yeah, there's some stuff that's left out, like they kind of skip over. But
Beaver flick.
thank you.
Yeah, the Beaver flick called Big Black Leather Splits.
Yeah, so a lot of porn films because again, it's all men. So they have the theater. They go there, and it winds up being that they sense a woman. His Vic Blood senses a woman. They track her down. They follow her, and other people sense her. They follow. Well, how much you want to do like a play-by-play of this, or do you want to just kind of
I think the main point is that the girl he tracks down turns out to be bait
yes,
for this creepy underground dystopia living under the city in these bunkers.
the down? I think they call it the down under or down
Yeah,
below.
yeah,
Yeah, there's that's the thing is you got the people upstairs roaming around in the wastelands, and then there's the down under, these giant city
wolves.
complexes,
Yeah,
underneath, and they're all like fucked in the head. They're all like they're batshit crazy down there. They've been down there for like I think like 20 years maybe, but they're fucked up, and they send her up as bait. This young girl they sent up to pull one of these solos down because there's a need for fresh blood.
yeah.
Well,
They've been
not blood.
isolated. Yeah, not fresh blood. It's the other fluid you get out of men.
Um,
Um, now I will
number three.
number three. Nice, very nice, sir. But and it was both Topeka, both in the movie and the
In the book. Yep.
book. And it's this instead of and it's kind of this insane world where they pretend nothing happened up top.
Yep.
And I kind of remember in the book they sort of made the implication that the engineers who built these bunkers, in the book there's an implication that they had been the first people executed because they didn't, they had crazy dangerous ideas, and the engineers are all gone. The places are self-sustaining, and the population that lives there lives in this kind of 1903 crazy world of of America as this perfect place with no Negroes and no minorities, and everybody's white and happy and middle class and goes to church and doesn't have sex or something.
and there's picnics and there's
Yeah. It gets extra crazy in the movie, and I do like the fact that in the book they go, well, you're going to have to, they get him down there, and they're like, okay, you're going to have to inseminate all the women the old-fashioned way. But I loved it in the movie. It was just like, no, it's not going to be that fun.
Yeah.
I really liked that it was awful in the movie, where they just hook him up to the milking machine, and they're like, okay, when we get enough out of here, we're just going to blow your brains out.
Yeah, so that's so there is some well, that's the general premise, and then they have to get out. I'm not gonna blow the ending of the movie or the book for people. I'm not gonna go that far, but the book goes a little bit past the movie with a couple things. Well,
And I do want to address them on one aspect. That the stories that go past the book, the end of the movie, the end of the first original novella, end with, and I'm sorry about this spoiler here, it ends with the death of Vic, and Blood is left on his own. And I always wondered, did Ellison do that because people were up his ass about writing more Vic and Blood? And he just went, I'm going to fix this. You want another story? Here you go. It's over.
Yeah, I've heard both. Both.
Yeah.
I've read everything I've read recently has been. Some people say it's because of that. Some people say, well, there's other things, and he did that because he's tired of people bugging him about it. So, who knows? But yeah, that happens because of the other events that happen in there. Now, I will say the original novella definitely doesn't ends on doesn't end on a happy note. But the movie that we see here, let's see if I could.
Both of us hold them up simultaneously.
Yay! Has the same thing happens at the end, but it's a lot more cheery and happy. It's
treated very lightly.
Very lightly, but in the Stories Past novella, it is not taken lightly, and it causes everything that happens in the end.
The main character ends up sort of PTSD'd from it. He's fucked up because of it. I would say that, and again, shall we seg into the fact that Don Johnson, age 12, is playing Vic in our movie?
18-year-old. He was 18 when they filmed that movie.
18. And he's still working. I just noted Don Johnson just landed a part in, the guy who directed Stakeland, the people who made Stakeland? They just filmed a Joe R. Lansdale movie called Cold in July. And it stars the guy who played Dexter, for so many years. I give Phillips, I can't remember his name. But it stars with the guy who plays Dexter. It's got Sam... not Sam Elliott, but it's got Don Johnson in it. The guy is still working at age 60 something now.
Yeah,
it's got to be. But Cold in July looks like it's going to be a pretty good action flick, and it's going to be fucked up because it's Joe Lansdale, who has visited the apocalyptic landscape at least once with Beyond the Cadillac Desert with Dead Folks, I think is the name of the short story. It was also a comic book. I don't remember. It was illustrated by Timothy Truman, who did Scout. As long as we're in this world of post-apocalyptic stories that turned into graphic novels.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to share this. Mr. Clint Staples did post that many of us in Canada are looking forward to nicer weather after the apocalypse.
Yes, the nuclear winter will cheer things up immensely north of the 48th parallel.
Thank you, Clint. So, hey, somebody's watching! Yay!
Live viewers. So, anyways, yeah, Boy and His Dog, the novel we both read it. You read it the most recently. I haven't read it since college.
Yeah, I never had read it except for the
graphic novel.
The graphic novel, which word for word it follows along basically
It's one of Corbin's best adaptations, and the two Mad Dog graphics,
Yep.
you know, 1 and 2 of this, and gee, I'm gonna have to crack this open and see if it gives me a number. Yeah, 1987 is
Okay.
when I picked those up. Holy crap, I'm old.
And this came out. The graphic novel came out in '87 as well. The collection. So
Oh, the copyright, or is
yeah,
that
the
just
copyright on the big collection from Corbin is '87 on there,
okay? And here's something I got. Here's something I picked up.
or '89.
This limited edition hardback of the graphic novel,
Oh, nice.
number 421 out of 1,000, signed by Harlan Ellison and Richard Corbin.
Oh, nice. I'll break it into your house later.
I'm going to have to lay this on top of a limpet mine or something. It's also, unlike the original comic, colorized.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, the graphic novel is the big one I have is
mhm.
the same colorized. It's just not
Yeah,
the.
yeah.
But it follows it pretty much word for word. The dialogue, some of the the overly descriptive scenes, which you could have happen with a picture, so it follows it along. So either one you could get, if you like graphic novels, you could get that. If you like Corbin's done a lot, has also done. He did Mutant World as well, another
Yeah.
post-apocalyptic graphic novel. So it's not unfamiliar territory to him. But the graphic novel follows right along. With that, you get to visualize that a little bit. There's other, mutant creatures in there as well. But like I said, the movie definitely doesn't follow it exactly. There's certain, because I just watched it again last night just to refresh my memory about the movie. They don't exactly. They follow most of the plot lines. They bring up most of the things that happen. Sometimes they just refer to it like in the past. Like. There's a scene where he has an encounter with a screamer that saves his life essentially, and they refer to it in the movie like they talk about it like remember when I did this, so they don't actually show the scene, and there's a big thing in the beginning where they're trying to get more ammo and they encounter this other rover gang that actually that's all they do is make ammunition, which is left out of the movie. Which
Yeah,
was
the 82nd Airborne, I think, is what they call the armor.
yeah. So they left that out, but otherwise it follows along pretty good. In the book, when they go to the Down Under, there is the Sentry robot
Yeah.
in there, but Sunsight. But
Sorry.
in the movie, it's replaced by Michael. Again, a robot, but he's an android, and he's just not pleasant. He's just got like this weird, smile on his face, like I'm gonna eat your intestines,
Yeah, he's got this big grinning mongoloid thing going on for Michael. But they couldn't, it's still a robot, it's still a contraption, but it's like the description of the Sentry bot, it's just too complex and unwieldy to make as a.
Oh, yeah, on their tiny little budget they had, but it follows along pretty close. What's creepy about the underneath in the movie is everybody's got the white face paint with the rosy red cheeks
and smiles painted on.
Yeah.
Everybody's a happy citizen upon pain of death. Everyone's having the best time ever.
Yeah, it's
fucking clowns, first of all.
Oh well, yeah, that's your nightmare. But it's like when they're judging people, like failed to comply, bad attitude, send them to the farm. It's just this.
Oh, the farm, yeah,
the
and
farm.
they keep saying the sentence to the farm, and you're like, I don't think they're gonna be hoeing a row. No. I don't think they're gonna be pulling weeds at the farm. I think they've been moved into the fertilizer department.
Yeah, well, they tell everybody that they were sent to the farm. But
yeah, I love that idea, especially because it's the standard totalitarian tactic where it's a death sentence, but we're not going to call it that. You've been sent to the farm. Oh, but everyone knows what it means.
Yeah, they send him to the farm. It's like, just give him a heart attack, send him to the farm, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Um, and so yeah, I like the movie a lot. I like what they do with their lack of budget. The idea that the city, they went out and filmed it in some out in the desert, and the idea is that the city has been covered with, I don't know, the detritus of World War
Mud
III.
or something, or earth. They say it's a little. That's a little weird. That's a different take, from the novel, because the novel definitely still has the ruins up the surface, everything. But in the movie, because of budgetary reasons, they couldn't do that. So everything's because they indicate that look, everything's underground because they have like electrical poles sticking out of the ground.
Yeah, yeah. The idea being that the city is buried in, I don't know, maybe the muck that was blown into the air by all the A bombs or something that has fallen down. Like the fallout was the stuff that's blown out of the giant shell craters of the nuclear bombs, and so the city's buried, and people dig it down into the desert to break into buildings.
Yep. So
I mean, I
that's
like that. It was they had no budget. They couldn't dress an entire ruin set,
no.
so they improvised.
Yeah, that's not a bad job. So that's a big difference between the novel and the movie. But I think they handled it okay. What's the and also what's their tagline? A, a rather kinky tale of survival is the tagline for the movie.
Yeah, well, that's certainly on the front of the box.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a kinky tale of survival. Very very 70s and that awful 70s folkish kind of.
Oh wow, it gets weirdly folk musicy.
A boy and his dog. It's like so like folky and creepy. It's like, no, please stop the '70s, please.
Yeah. Let us not forget that Jason Robards plays the head of the Down Unders, the Republic of Topeka,
Yeah,
with their own creepy flag. I want to point out. They
that I
did
didn't
that.
notice.
Yeah, hanging on the wall behind the tribunal when they're dealing with all the miscreants. There is they refer to it as the Republic of Topeka, and the dirty bastards don't even have an American flag up. They have some other flag up, I think. It's green and black and has some design on it. But, I don't know what Harlan Ellison's relationship to the movie was. I mean, we probably should have looked it up so we can figure out just how angry Harlan Ellison got about the movie, because that's what he does.
I think he did. Well, he didn't use his alias. I don't think.
Oh, yes, he didn't use the mayor, his nom de merde.
Uh,
When he really hates something, he uses this name that says, I, Harlan Ellison, hate this shit.
what is it called? Hold on, I'm trying to find it. It's Corwin Bird or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking up Harlan Ellison's frickin' Wikipedia. I gotta find it. It's
Well, I don't remember. Certainly his name's on the box and on the product, so one presumes that he couldn't have been completely annoyed by it. But
he did use it on the Star Lost. So
no, can you blame him?
no, because it had potential, but it
frittered it away.
failed. It just failed. I'm really trying to find it. What the fuck? I was just reading it like last night, and I can't find it now on the Wikipedia. No, it's bugging me. I'm gonna. Oh, here it is. It's Cordwainer. What the fuck is it?
Cordwainer.
Cordwainer.
No, that's a real name. There's actually a science fiction author named Cordwainer Smith who.
Cordwainer Bird.
Okay.
Is what he uses when he doesn't like something.
When his own material has been mangled.
Exactly. And I don't think he did that. I think I read something that he was not happy with the ending in the movie, with the last line of the movie. He thought it was so inappropriate or something like that.
Well,
so.
yeah, it is. It comes off totally. Flippant and glib about this rather completely fucked up ending.
Yeah. So he wasn't happy with that. But hey, that's Harlan, and Harlan Ellison's 80 years old.
God
He's still kicking and he's still angry. I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
well,
I love that.
I think that's how he stays fit. Is he has a subcutaneous layer of hate that keeps him warm at night. You know.
Yeah, because all I remember was like in the very early days of the Sci-Fi Channel when it was actually a Sci-Fi Channel. Again, I remember like the late '80s with local cable hearing about they're launching this sci-fi science fiction channel, and they used to have this thing, the Sci-Fi Buzz, like BuzzFeed or so, like something like Sci-Fi Buzz,
Yeah.
and they had him doing these like 2-3 minute little monologues, and he just rant about shit, and they were great. I used to, that was like 1990. I remember him seeing this guy. I'm like, oh, like this guy's classic.
I remember those. I don't remember the subject of any of them.
No, I don't either. But they had a whole bunch of them, and again, that was back when cable.
He still does it. He still does it.
His rants. Oh yeah.
He still puts his rants on his YouTube page where he's pissed off about various things. Oh, that was it. He was furious about the movie that Tom Hanks and what's her name did about Disney getting the woman who wrote Mary Poppins.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, where he went off about, no, she didn't come around. She never came around. She hated that movie with every fiber of her being, and she hated Disney. She never came around. This magical come to Jesus moment she has in the film where suddenly she realizes that everything's better with Disney on it. No, she never did. And that really bugged him, that sort of Stalinist revisionist history where we're going to pretend like artists like the way their work is mangled.
Yeah.
When the big money comes to town? No. That gets Harlan's goat.
Oh, yeah. So that's The Boy and His Dog. Again, book, movie, graphic novel. The graphic novel follows along the book with the way the book. It's not a long book. You can pick it up at Amazon cheap. It's worth it's a nice little read. It's pretty good. The movie, I own it because we have to. So
we've taken on this duty, this burden, so that you don't have to.
You don't have to. We watch all these movies, so you don't have to. Again, it's definitely very 70s, very low budget. I wouldn't buy it. If you have a chance to rent it or watch it on YouTube or something, it's worth checking out because again, it fits the genre. It's not all that bad. It's reasonable. I've seen a lot worse.
It's worth comparing to other films of that time period, like The Ultimate Warrior and like
The Ravagers.
The Ravagers, yeah. Or the big moment where it suddenly post-apocalypse takes a giant turn. Is Road Warrior. It was again, what is that? 82, 83 is Road Warrior. Suddenly, boom. There's that's the diversion point. But this was the state of the art in the 70s and before. What do you call it? Even Damnation Alley and things like that.
Yeah, like somebody had said. Excuse me. Oh, sorry.
We're so fascinating.
I know. It's. I'm tired, man. Like I got dragged to the beach yesterday. We were there like all afternoon. So with the sun and swimming, I'm still tired. Yeah.
Well, nothing sucks the life out of you quicker than fun.
Exactly. I was reading somewhere. Somebody was saying something about the landscape of, or somebody who worked on The Boy and His Dog went to work on the Road Warrior. At least Mad Max 2, and it replicated that barren landscape. I was just reading something about that.
Isn't that called going outside in Australia? That's how you replicate barren landscape, is you leave your house and then boom, you're there.
Basically.
Yeah.
So there you go. So that's from book to novel to other items. Again, worth checking out.
It's a very successful post-apocalyptic story because it has been realized in at least 3 different mediums, and God only knows if it's turned up in if it's turned up somewhere as a radio play. I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what? I kind of vaguely remember something about that.
Go to the videotape.
Well, apparently there was some kind of works trying to not just a film adaptation, some kind of
What do you got for me?
Um, like trying to they were trying to like back in like 2003 or something. They were trying to do a TV something with the TV rights
Mm-hmm. Huh.
back then. So I mean that all that's kind of been in the works. So all right, but that's enough of that.
Oh, I have to throw this out off the Wikipedia page. Ellison disavowed the film's conclusion uh, as a moronic, hateful, chauvinist last line, which I despise.
We love you.
Yep. Thank you, Harlan.
Thank you, Harlan. He puts everything so eloquently, but that's
yeah. Yeah, that's very cool. Yeah, it says a rover. The final longest section is in screenplay form. They're bidding here in Hollywood once again. This is something Ellison mentioned back in 2003 for film and TV rights. And one of these days, before I go through that final door, I'll translate it into elegant prose, and the full novel will appear.
never.
Okay.
I think he's just stringing people along.
He's just jerking our chains.
He is.
Thank you, Harlan.
Thank you. So, so that's it for A Boy and His Dog. Next show we're gonna do the same thing. We're probably gonna do a couple of these of novels and their movies adaptations. We were talking about doing next time doing Damnation Alley.
Yeah, or the Postman's another good one.
Or the Postman.
Frankly, some of these, I mean, and here's the thing about Damnation Alley that we didn't realize, and I guess we'll throw this little teaser out. Just Damnation Alley, yeah, there's a novel by Zelazny, and there is a movie, but frankly, there's also a comic book.
Oh, I've never seen the comic.
Dude, you have, because what is the
Cursed Earth? Okay, yeah, the Cursed Earth. You're right.
What is the Cursed Earth, except a sort of a complete ripoff or homage to Zelazny's Damnation Alley.
Yep, which was from the 2000 AD Judge Dredd stories.
Yeah, so I think we'll be dropping in on that as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, so yeah, we're gonna because we've been having a lot of general broad discussions lately, which I love doing those. I love getting other people on having these broad discussions, but we want to kind of circle back for a while to doing like movies and books and sharing our opinions of them with you guys. So and we want to definitely do some of the ones where we could do for the film and the book at the same time, because there's plenty of books that became movies, and Boy and His Dog, they followed them pretty close to each other, but then you get things like The Postman or Damnation Alley. Oh no, it's completely different.
I think they kept the title on the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Judge Dredd's The Cursed Earth actually stays closer to the original idea than the movie adaptation.
Yeah. So that's gonna be it. That's gonna be the next show, folks. We're gonna be having a discussion on Damnation Alley. So we're gonna talk about that.
Can we title that one Damnation Alley?
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. We'll
There'll be a negotiation. There'll be a negotiation about that.
Yeah, we'll exaggerate that. So definitely be 2 weeks from now, maybe even depending on what our schedules look like, just to try to maybe catch up a little bit. Maybe I'll see what we can do to maybe pull off maybe next week if we can pull, because I think in 2 weeks my brother-in-law is going to be in town. So, or one of my brother-in-laws. Yeah, I have brother-in-laws now. Is going to be.
Congratulations! They'll be sleeping on your couch and eating your food and drinking your booze.
That's Jeff. Okay, that basically that's
and breaking your Xbox. They'll be breaking your Xbox. Now.
Oh, I'll break his head. But so
fighting words.
So I think maybe I'll look at our schedule. I think we'll probably try to do 2 weeks in a row because if he's going to be in town, he might be staying with. It's going to be kind of hard to do it. So I'd like to try to. We'll do that. So
cool beans. I've read. Speaking of which, I've read Cursed Earth a million years ago, and I have Damnation Alley up on the bookshelf, and I have the movie over here on the shelf. But I don't have Cursed Earth, the comic. Do you actually own a copy of the Cursed Earth?
Yes.
Good, 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 good. That is going to be all. It's going to be incumbent on you to catch up on that one.
Oh yeah, I definitely. Yeah, I actually bought the because it was in the papers and it was in the comics, and they put a compilation together. So I got the compilation, and Damnation. I'll have to rewatch Damnation now because it's been a little while. That I could do in a week. Reread the original novel. That I'm not going to be able to pull off in a week, but I'll kind of maybe skim through it a little bit. You know.
I'll see what I can do. I want to see if I can try and find some of the stuff, some of the examples of what the horrors of Damnation Alley are. You know.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely remember the premise. You know, it's like organized governments, and he's a criminal. He's on death row. They needed a job done. Yeah, I remember all the base. I'll just have to skim through it again so we could
Yeah.
do that. But I definitely got the Cursed Earth. Because there's some that cursed Earth. Oh, I'm not gonna go. Let's stop. Time out. We'll go into it next week. So all right. So next week, 26 episode, Damnation Alley. We'll be discussing the comic, the movie, and the original book. So this is no final thoughts this week. We talked a lot about a lot of stuff today, so we're done. So
We're done.
for me, the Apocalypse Nerd, and Adam Bomb Glancy, this is Podcast at Ground Zero saying thank you and good night.
Good night.